Hello and welcome back to the Comic Lyric Podcast, where we literally and comically look at comic books. I'm Ryan, also known as Comic Stan. I love comic books. My co-host loves regular books, and then I make him read the comic books and we talk about them in depth. I added a bit to the intro at the start, and I was like, that's a good part. But then I read through my prepared intro, and I was like, oh no, I've done a similar thing to what I've already got in there. But people won't notice.
I like the new bit. The new bit should be new. The new bit should
comically and literally, I think, a good
literally
turn of
and comically.
Yes.
Like, that's literally and what we do. Literally and what
comically
we do.
what we do. And with me, as always, is my aforementioned ailing co-host. It's Jamie.
Yeah, I'm poorly.
He's a poor one. We got a sick co-host and a sick dog in the room.
We are essentially
in the podcast studio today.
Essentially, it's a battle of wills as to whether my throat gives out before he throws up and shits himself.
Yep, and both equally possible.
Entirely.
Or if his voice goes and you throw up and shit yourself, that's the wild card.
Well, in fairness, mate, me shitting there's like a 2% chance I'm going to shit myself every time I leave the house.
We're less than 2 minutes into a podcast episode. We're already talking about vomiting and shitting.
I want to shat myself in a Five Guys. And you know how old I must have been for
when Five Guys came to Norwich.
Yeah, for our American listeners, well, soon to be our Gilead listeners, if we're being honest here.
No.
Oh, mate, no, this isn't.
Let's stick to the shitting. That's a less controversial topic.
What, than the fascism?
Yes.
Than the impending fascism across the pond?
Yeah, let's stick to the shitting stories.
At what point are we not going to be able to cover American comic books anymore because they're essentially coming from Nazi Germany?
Someone will make them.
Well, someone's going to have to step in. Do you reckon that's why they outsourced the X-Men one to somebody in Japan? Because they were like, fuck, it's all gone to shit here.
Maybe. We'll exclusively do the Beano and the Dandy from then on. And Mango. And of course Mango.
It'll just be like, this off-brand British-American Hulk, the Absolute Unit, isn't very good.
Don't give away our plans. So as I said, Jamie's ill, so I'm going to be trying to do most of the talking just to save his throat a little bit.
Isn't that the standard?
Yeah, but this time it's with purpose, other than my own
ego,
exactly. But you have got a green tea with lemon, so hopefully that'll tie
in an
over.
Iron Man mug.
In an Iron Man mug.
Very on brand, which I bought for you.
Iron Man saving the day once again.
Absolutely.
So, you might have seen the title. I don't know how you click without seeing the title, but you've seen the title. We're returning to the Ultimate Universe. Marvel Ultimate Universe, that is. I think we're going to be like the experts on the Ultimate Universe within the online space soon, because we are extensively covering it from its inception.
Yeah, it's good as well.
That helps as well.
I think the reason we're doing it is because last week, if you've listened to the last episode, I really didn't like the comic book.
I was going to make a point of that as well. I think you got ill soon after trashing.
Do you think Superman was upset with me?
No, I think Grant Morrison cast a sigil.
I was up north recently as well, so I was like closer to their space.
They sensed someone trash talking one of their greatest works,
and they put a hex on me.
Yeah, I'm gonna fuck this guy up.
Luckily, my girlfriend is a witch, so
it's like it's like the Harry Potter ending with the two wands and the two beams, but it's just your illness in the middle.
I did wonder why she was walking around me burning sage earlier, I must admit.
I thought that was just a smell thing.
Yes, I smell that bad that my girlfriend has to burn sage
or just not enough like sage.
Yeah. I don't smell enough like burning sage.
Yeah, there we go.
I must admit, I am going to go home and just ask her to ensure there are no evil spirits acting on me at the moment.
We're about almost 4 minutes before properly getting into the comic, and it did remind me of a comment we received.
Go for it. Which episode was it on?
It's in the episode is within the comment, which I'll read out, and it's Hour 20 podcast that talks about anything but Phantom Road. Prob 10 minutes is spent on the comic book. And to that, I'll say, I think we did at least 15. Come on.
We gave that comic book more airtime than it fucking well deserved.
Yeah, and an undeserved Eisner nominee. But they want that Phantom Road content, and we did not deliver in that instance. And you know what? That's on us.
Just for you, when we next come to a week where we don't have anything, because did we read all of Phantom Road?
I think it might have still been going when we got to it, but I don't know.
For you, we will revisit Phantom Road and we will make a concerted effort
to only talk about how bad the comic book is.
Yeah, what's this YouTuber's name?
I have no idea if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Simmer Downer.
I'm a downer.
Simmer Downer.
Simmer Downer. You need to simmer. You need to simmer the fuck down because you are a massive downer on my podcasting experience right now. But just for you, the next time we don't have anything pinned for an episode, we will pick up where we left off with Phantom Road, and we will give you the most detailed expose of why we think it's hot garbage.
The ultimate irony of us talking about a comment where we didn't get to the comic book enough.
Is that we're not getting to the comic book.
We're not getting to the comic books in this one. So
right, so let's talk about the comic books.
Revisiting Marvel Ultimate Universe and the ones that are going on at this time, specifically Spider-Man, X-Men, and the Ultimates, because those are the ones we really liked. We haven't done Black Panther because it was all right, but it wasn't, and racism.
Because we're massive racists.
Yes, but mainly because it was all right, but it didn't really inspire us, that one.
We thought, in keeping with the political sort of feeling of the country that Black Panther's from, we should exclude it. No.
What, Wakanda? The political turmoil in Wakanda, is that what you're talking about?
No, we honestly, mate, I just forgot about Black Panther. I would have read some.
It was fine, and that was it.
It was good.
And it wasn't good enough to warrant us going back to it.
You know when you say things on the internet and you realise that they could be edited, there is a high potential of a meme of me now saying, I'm a massive which isn't good.
Look, if they couldn't get it from before, they've definitely fucking got it now.
What you can't see as the listener is that I held the mic up a little bit more closely to my mouth.
Yeah,
for that
line. You gave them a clear shot. It's like you're like a voiceover, doing a job. It's like, can we get that one again? Nice and clear.
Can we, just for my own purposes, can we bleep both of those out?
I'll quieten them down.
No, bleep them out. You need to garble them.
All right, fine. But
can you put our over it?
Yeah, sure. But what was it you said that I'm bleeping over?
I'm a massive...
I'll put that in instead, yeah. That'll do. So, and we've got some positive comments at the end. But Marvel Ultimate Universe, Spider-Man, X-Men, and the Ultimates.
Let's start with the Ultimates.
Sure, let's start with the Ultimates. It was only 2 issues since we actually last got it. Thought we'd just include it in everything else. But yeah, 2 issues, issues 8 and 9 of it. What did you think of those 2 issues?
Quality continued, but issue 8 was fucking chaos.
Yeah.
So issue 8, it transpires that the Guardians of the Galaxy are like a big organized thing. And
from the 61st century?
61st century. And they noticed that their timeline was being destroyed. And so they...
Unmade.
Even. And so they took the 61st century, turned a century into a spaceship, and then came back in time to find all of the Guardians, I think, is what's going on.
Yeah.
Turns out America is a Guardian.
America Chavez, the character.
America Chavez is a Guardian, and she's hot for the
Captain Marvel.
The new Captain Marvel.
A Kree Captain Marvel, interestingly enough.
Fucking cool.
Yeah.
And the new what's his name?
Star-Lord.
Way more attractive than Chris Pratt. Way more. The casting. So, he looks like Daddy Kratos.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
Looks like Daddy. We've had Daddy Santa, and now we've got...
Kratos is already Daddy Kratos, so...
Yeah, so...
he's within that vibe.
What's the character called, though?
Star-Lord.
We've got Daddy Star-Lord now. Yeah. We've had Daddy Santa, now we've got Daddy Star. I saw it and I was like, oh, yeah.
My thing with the 2 issues is the issue 7, immediately, again, spoilers for all of these that we're getting into. We're just getting into all of them because they're releasing now. They're all currently ongoing, so if you haven't read them and we spoil anything, but you still want to get into it, there's more issues coming out.
We're also just talking about too much stuff today to be coy. We just need to get in.
We're just getting up to date on these titles, which is a kind of new thing for us. So, but we're just getting into it all. And again, if you haven't read it and you like what we say, they're still going. You can jump in now and then get us back when we come back again, you know?
So I actually had feedback from a listener recently.
Right.
In person.
Wow.
I was at my other job.
To this one, you mean? This being your main job?
Yes. So I was at my 3rd job.
Yes.
And I was serving somebody that I know a pint. And he went, oh, by the way, I caught your Watchmen episode. And I was like, oh, great. That's really lovely to hear. Thank you. Did you like it? And he went, I liked it so much that when my mum asked me if I wanted anything for Christmas, I said, oh, actually, maybe the Watchmen comic book. and he's now reading it,
Nice.
and he said, having listened to your episode and listened to you guys talk about it, meant that I had a bit of like knowledge going in, and now I'm picking up on more of the nuances because of your episode.
Oh yeah, we said, I think in the episodes, we could not cover we got the bits that we liked and were interested in, but there was so much more to us, and that's very much the case for issue 8 of the Ultimates.
Oh, there's so much going on.
But this is what I was getting at. Issue 7 was the post big fight kind of. Was it called?
Post Tony Stark dying?
Yeah, or quote marks dying. That was
this is something I want to come back to because there's some time between it and Spider-Man. There's some timeline things, and I'm like, I wonder what's going on here. But we'll talk about that in a minute.
And so issue 7 was very much a post kind of everything's happened, we're recollecting ourselves, that kind of thing, seeing where all the characters are and whatnot. And I like that. I thought it was a necessary issue.
Yeah.
And then issue 8, I like the big broad story.
Yeah.
These guys in the galaxy from the future finding America Chavez, revealing to all this and her decision at the end. I like that broad strokes.
Yeah.
Like exactly as you say, the issue was a mess. Like it was way too much stuff. And I thought like to compare it, one of the issues earlier is an issue with Captain America and the new Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And they're just having a talk while having a fight. I was way more invested emotionally and everything else in that issue than this one. This one was just like fireworks right up your face,
And then the thing is, it had come off such a great issue because issue 7 was Captain A in New York going for a beer.
A pub that he went to pre-World War II.
Yeah, and just kind of really taking a moment to explore the nuances of this new Captain A character. And then seeing Pym and his partner go to this protest come funeral for the people who died. And it was
the dual mourning, the mourning of the crowd they're in, who think they're the ones who did it, but they don't know who they are.
Yeah.
But they're having their own mourning for their recent defeat as well. I thought that was a great scene.
This is it, right? And so it was a really grounded issue with very little superhero shenanigans, kind of quite human stories. It was slow character development, all the good shit that I like.
Yeah.
All of the stuff that really turns me on in a comic book, and then it's like, blam, episode 8, we took a chunk of time and turned it into a spaceship.
And any individual part, I'm on board. Like, you know me, like
you love it.
Superheroes love it. But it was just so much stuff. And it was all like that show don't tell. It was tell but showing, but like so much at once. Like it kind of just washed over me. Like I didn't really care about any of it. At best, and I think maybe this might be the intention, there was a lot of Marvel Easter eggs that I was like, I recognize that.
Yeah.
That's a fun callback. But overall, I was like, I got to the end of that issue and I was just like, what happened? Like I didn't really care about anything in that.
Cool thing about it, well, not cool because it's superhero shenanigans. It very pointedly told us that Tony Stark is coming back.
Yeah.
Because in Captain Marvel's... Is she Captain Marvel? Is that her name?
Yeah, the Kree one, the blue girl.
Yeah. So Captain Marvel said, we've seen all possible outcomes of your future. It's bloody. And then it snaps to her sort of, vision of the future, if you will. And there is very obviously Iron Man in the Iron Man suit there at the end of days.
Yeah, and you also had the Star-Lord character being like very heavy-handed breadcrumb of clues, being like, one of you, Iron Man and the Mako, one of you will destroy millions of people and the other one will save them. I can't remember who was who. And I was like, all right. It was very heavy-handed for this
he was talking
series.
About Doom and Iron
Doom
Man.
and Iron Man, yeah. So talking about them two and being like, one of you's going to hurt loads of people and genocide and the other one's gonna save them, but I can't remember who's who. And I was like,
you think you'd remember that shit, wouldn't you?
A little. Well, I mean, they're from the 61st century, so fair enough.
But so episode 8 was quite heavy-handed and a bit of a hot mess, but
I like to call it episode 8 than issue 8 because it's an episode. It's a comic episode.
It's an episode. It had a scroll.
Yep. Had a scroll. Not a scroll, a scroll.
Ah, nice.
Two different things.
Nice.
But it was.
Can we get a little Mario coin for that? For the pun?
Was it a pun or was I just said a word that's similar that's in the Marvel thing?
Look, right. In the age of TikTok, where people's attention spans go for 20 seconds at a time, A word sounding like a word qualifies as a pun, and I think you deserve a Mario coin.
It qualifies
for it.
as content. Just that in itself. Do you know how scroll and scroll sound similar?
I've got a
subscribe.
I've got a hack for you.
Yeah, that's what we're reduced to.
I saw a video. Just a tangent. I saw a video the other day.
A tangent on this podcast.
I know, right? This woman was saying, you know, the little spice jars you get with a plastic lid, and you open the plastic lid and it has like 3 holes. So you can dispense the spice slowly and not dump like, I don't know, 3 grams of paprika into your salad or whatever the fuck you're doing. And she went, oh, when I open it with a knife, it doesn't open it properly and you get the scraggly bits. So I've got a hack for you. If you use chopsticks, it opens it cleanly. And it was just 3 people had all stitched it staring at the screen. Because obviously, you know that you just smash the jar on the countertop and scoop the contents into the pot, right? That's how you
pick
use
out
those.
the glass.
No,
most of the glass.
The glass sinks to the bottom of the sauce. It's fine. You just skim your portions off the top.
That's the biggest bits of the glass.
And then the middle child gets the one from the bottom that has the glass in it, because fuck them.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
So, little bits.
I wanted more from that. I thought that bit was gold, Ryan. I wanted more of a response.
I gave you the glass set. I gave you a bit. Like, ran with it as much as I could. I'm not a miracle worker. I can only do so much. So, again, little bits. I did not like that. So, one thing I didn't like about issue 7, and again, this is still a great comic. I'm not suddenly down on it or whatever. I didn't like.
Was it our comic of the year?
It was our comic of the year, yes. And that's why it's got high standards that it needs to meet.
Yes.
I feel like it was a bit of a cop-out not killing Tony Stark. And not just that, I'm not even the decision itself. Like, if you want to keep him alive, that's fine. I totally get why you want to do that. The fact that in the issue that all the other characters are like, yeah, they're not used to losing people like we did Tony. And so I was like, yeah, what happened to Tony? It's got me shaking. We're going to miss
he's
Tony.
Just there, and alive.
He's like, he's in a coma. Like, all right, that's bad. But I felt a bit kind of like, all right, calm it down. Where it's like, maybe Tony's dead. And I was reading all those bits being like, I bet he's not. Like, I bet he's not.
And then we see him there on a respirator in a pod, like an iron lung thing. Yeah.
But they could have just been like, what happened to Tony sucked. That's like ambiguous enough. But the fact it went even more to be like Captain America being like, they're not used to losing people. And after what happened to Tony, like, they have to get used to it soon. It's like, you're implying he's dead. And I bet he's not. Because you implied he was, but you've not shown me a corpse
and
yet.
Also, in the next issue, I see him in the future alive and well.
Well, the fact that he's in a coma is like, all right, he's coming back.
Yeah.
Like, fair. And again, I get why you didn't want to kill him. I just don't like this attempt to trick me, you know? Where it's like, I know what you're doing.
They're trying to have their cake and eat it.
Yeah. And it's that's, again, high standards. That's the only reason. If it was any other comic, I'd be like, this is what superhero comics do. But the fact is, this one, I'm like, come on, you know better.
So,
you've done better.
Spiderman.
Oh, little bits from...
sorry.
The issue 8 is... I think you like these as well. The dog character.
He's great.
Who apparently stayed, but he's like a part robot dog. He's what's it called? Astro the dog or something, I can't remember.
Stayed behind when Dogkind got elevated to a new plane of being.
After all other canines ascended to a higher state of being. Yeah. And then it's like referring to this dog, it's like, he's the goodest boy. And I was like, that's fun.
They said he was the goodest boy.
And one of the other Guardians from the future, they're listing them off, and they were like, the Star Brand, and like the big... Gary, the wielder of the Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah. And it's just a guy with the Infinity Gauntlet. I was like, that's good stuff. Like, that's funny. I like that.
I like that he's sort of... I mean, in fairness, if, you know, there's a lot of instances in superhero comics where unpowered people get powers by having a MacGuffin. Having the Infinity Gauntlet would be dope.
Yeah, but it's OP is the problem.
Yeah.
It's way too much.
Which is why he doesn't need a weird name. It's like...
just a dude.
Have you met Gary and you're like, what, the one with the Infinity Gauntlet? Yes, I have. That guy fucking terrifies me.
The problem is that I feel like he'd be easier to take... Unless he's really good at wielding it, which might be the case, he might be easier to take it from. You know what I mean? People have lost the gauntlet.
What, a plumber? A plumber called Gary.
Yeah, just anyone, just like, when he's not looking, just sneak up behind him, like, whoop, took your glove.
I'm of the opinion, by the way, that all plumbers are called Gary. I think it's universal enough. Or Paul.
Yeah,
but I think
those are the two.
I think it's universal enough that you could just say, oh, we had so many issues in the house recently, we had to get a Gary in. And everyone would know that you meant a plumber.
Apparently, Gary's dying out as a name.
It is. There
so
were
less plumbers.
We're not going to have any. Let's face it. Everybody wants to be an influencer now. Nobody wants to be a plumber.
Who would dare want to do something like that? Absolute cowards. So and that's all I had on that. Again, issue 8, just a lot of stuff happening. Some bits I liked, but just way too much.
Hot mess of an issue, but
still looking forward to the next ones.
Yeah, because now we know that there's like the Guardians of the Galaxy are here, and they're cool. Yeah. They seem chill. I mean, the one thing that we learned about the Guardians of the Galaxy in this issue is that they fuck.
Oh yeah, I mean they're 61st century people. It's like they're not prudes at all. Like it's higher elevated beings.
Get into it, mate. Just getting about it.
Yeah, but like who try to think of the character who said previously. Obviously, fucks probably Dick Grayson. Like
Dick Grayson.
Yeah, he's the barometer. Yeah, that's pretty much all we can really say about those two issues.
I mean, the only thing that could have made them better
was some Dick Grayson.
Was some Dick Grayson
crossing over the realm from DC to Marvel, just to grace us with his presence.
Oh my god! If Dick Grayson made his way into the Marvel universe, my life would be made.
What a weird trade that would be to be like, all right, we'll give you Dick Grayson, but you got to give us Spider-Man.
And I'd be writing to Marvel like, you have to do it. You need to do it.
Just because who cares about Spider-Man? Like, come on. Right, so Spider-Man. Speaking of Spider-Man, we're on Spider-Man now. Quite a few issues of Spider-Man since we last left off.
I think I maybe read like 4 or 5.
We're from issue 6 onwards.
Yeah, so I read up to like 10, 11.
I think I read 12, maybe 13, so I might have a bit extra to talk about then, yeah? We'll work it out. Spoilers for Ultimate Spider-Man, we're getting into it again, just reminding everyone.
So the thing I liked about it is they kind of had this will they, won't they thing going on with Harry Osborn and Octavius, where it's like, are they evil, are they not? Are they going to do bad shit, are they not?
I felt like it was more Octavius was the more evil one and Harry might be swayed over to it.
Yeah, this is it. And there were moments where like Peter didn't like the way that Osborn acted, and then they escalated that situation and they brought it back down. Like they'd been having a conversation where Harry Osborn had invited Peter Parker and the family out to their house in like the Hamptons for Christmas. And Peter had been like, nah, man, it's Christmas. Like we have a whole thing, but MJ goes all out for it. You could come. And he's like, nah, sorry, man, my wife wouldn't be into it. Gwen wouldn't be into it. And then he fucking brutally dispatches of somebody that Peter was not about to kill. And Peter's like, dude, you can't be doing that shit. That's what they do. And he was like, well, you know, they killed my dad and they're going to kill us, so we need to kill them first. And they have a little conversation about it. And then Peter's like, you're still invited to Christmas, though.
Well, what I liked especially about that is there's Spider-Man and Batman, I think, and to an extent Superman, are the ones where they constantly do the kind of no-killing rule as a topic or as a subject of whatever the comic is. And this, I thought, was a really good version of it because Spider-Man's very clearly like, I'm not going to kill people or whatever. And you would expect, or at least I expected as an experienced comic book reader, for Harry to be like, well, I will. It's like, well, we've got a problem then. And, you know, that kind of thing. But the way they phrased it, where Harry was like, I'm not taking on your rule completely. And the reason is, from his perspective, which he explains, is, if someone's going for you, I'm going to kill that person. Yeah. If I think someone's going to kill you, I'm going to kill that person.
But they're new friends, aren't they?
Yeah, relatively new, yeah. I mean, yeah, new friends, absolutely.
Like, they met each other each other within the confines of the comic. Yes. It's not like original Peter Parker where Harry Osborn is his, like, school friend or whatever. Yeah, it's
not like that. But I just appreciate how Peter, he's not, like, this kind of, like, steadfast, like, well, if you would dare even consider killing someone, then I think you're evil and we've got to fight. I appreciate these, like, I won't kill, but I understand what you're coming from. This extreme scenario of, like, someone kills you, I'll kill them, because that's, you know, how much you mean to me in that kind of, like, in this, you know, instance. But I just appreciated that it wasn't just a very, and again, like you say, and he's like, but he's still invited to Christmas.
Yeah.
But I just appreciate it wasn't the standard. Like, Batman, if anyone around him is like, you know, I could kill someone, he's like, get out. Like, you're evil to me. I will stop you. Like, get out. And it's I like this refreshing.
And then he takes back all their Polaroids of Dick Grayson. Yes. And he kicks them out of the Batcave.
And you're not to look at these anymore. Don't go on the website.
Do you reckon that's how Batman makes his money? Just selling Polaroids of Dick Grayson, $2 a pop?
I think luckily he was a billionaire beforehand. But actually, no, he's not a billionaire now. So.
No, he's not.
But then Dick Grayson's the kind of guy who's like, nah, I'm not going to do that because he's got a bit too much, you know. He's not
too good.
Yeah, he's too good of a bloke. He's not gonna do that. And there's not to say that's bad if you do that, but he's just not the kind of guy to do that.
Have you noticed that Dick Grayson has become the new Alan Moore for me?
It's the year of Dick Grayson. Compared the first year was Alan Moore, now it's Dick Grayson. No, still a bit Alan Moore. Still a bit Alan Moore.
Well, he comes up, doesn't he?
Yeah. There's a lot of story happening in these issues.
But the thing that was the most interesting to me was the sort of almost mistrust of Tony Stark that's starting to seep in. They spent a lot of one of the issues deprogramming the suits and then building new suits.
Yeah.
And
the suit is very obviously going to be a symbiote Venom substitute in this universe, which it's one of those things that like it's very early on signaling what they're doing, but I'm like, I want to see that.
Yeah,
I'm
down for more symbiote
great
stuff.
storytelling where you just not even just more symbiote stuff. It's like, this is how we're doing it here. Like, ooh, see that suit went black a little bit. It's probably going to be that. And I was like, I'm on board. Just show me it now.
And the fact that the suit is like in a little ball talking to him.
Yes. I thought what was very interesting was, so they have a moment where, so Peter's suit is he's given to him by Tony Stark in the first issue. And he's like, here's a suit, here's a spider, become Spider-Man. The armor that Harry Osborn Green Goblin wears is that he bought Stark and Stain Industries now that Tony's fucked off and is a terrorist. And he's just like got into this room, found all this armor, he's repurposed it. It's all Stark stuff. They have a big thing with Otto Octavius, who works for Norman Osborn, and they're getting the programming and this AI and this network connection, all the Stark stuff out of the suits.
Yeah.
And then Otto's like, hey, we can put a new AI in for you, and what kind of personality do you want? I thought the choices they make are such good representations of their characters. So Peter Parker, they're like, well, you ask Norman first, like, which person do you want to be your...
Harry.
Ask Harry, who do you want to be your AI? And he rambles a bit, but he's basically like, my dad. And that's very much his character in all kind of iterations.
Yeah.
Norman Osborn is the evil goblin, whether it be by... He gives himself this super soldier serum stuff.
Yeah, or he has the suit or whatever.
But it's always the dad that kind of influences Harry to become the goblin later down the line as well. So the fact that he's like, put my dad, who's dead and always an arsehole to me, put him in my head in this suit is like, I thought it was a really good kind of representation of the character. And then Peter, he's like, can I have anyone? It's like, yeah, the suit can mimic, like, can analyze personality of people and make anyone. He's like, can it be me then? And I think that's, again, the representation of who does Norman look for guidance? His dad. His dad's probably not a very good bloke, and that's not going to pay off well. Peter Parker, even though he's had Ben Parker as like his kind of moral compass growing up and stuff, it's still Peter's like, he listens to himself and his own gut and everything.
I think what's interesting is if it had been a younger Peter Parker, he would have said Ben.
Yes.
But teenage Peter Parker would have said, obviously, Uncle Ben.
Yes.
But an adult Peter Parker who's raising a family.
Very self-assured, very confident in himself.
Me.
Yes. And I thought that was just a really good kind of, again, show, don't tell. Showing things about the characters, not necessarily plot-driven, even though it will be plot-driven later. But yeah, I thought it was a really good moment. Getting in a bit before that, I think it was before that, I can't remember how it's whatever, but I just love the family dynamic of Peter and the rest of the family finding out he's Spider-Man now.
Yeah.
It's literally just May, his kid, who sees him. She's like 5-ish, around that kind of age. She sees him coming in one night. He's like, hey, don't tell anyone. And then like the next day, she's like arguing with the rest of the family. She's like, and I know Dad's Spider-Man. And she's like, oh shit, I just said that. And Peter Parker's just like, it's fine. Like, I should have figured it was going to happen.
I quite like the family dynamic because it's quite naturalistic.
Yeah, very much so. And we'll jump ahead of this. Just to ask now, did you read the Christmas issue?
No.
Oh my God.
Good?
Christmas issue was fantastic.
Okay.
I'm half tempted to get you read it now, but I don't think we've got time. You need to read it afterwards.
The Christmas issue.
Christmas issue I thought was fantastic.
So the consistently ringing phone is a device.
Yep.
But then it turning out Peter's been a symbiote for 6 days? Fuck.
So what it is, that it's kind of in two parts. It's like the main bulk of it and the ending, right?
Yeah.
The main bulk of it, I kind of likened to the episode of The Bear.
Yeah.
Just this tense family shit going on, like all these kind of new like family members who haven't seen each other for a while turning up, and these old like grudges and stuff and like tensions all simmering under the surface and everything. And you just kind of like, oh wow, like the really deep characters, and like they're really fourth dimensional with all their issues with each other and stuff, and their backstory or what have you. And it's all like really interesting stuff. And it's that for ages. I'm like, I'm loving this. I think this is a nice kind of break from the action, which I appreciate every once in a while, especially in a comic like this, which is brave enough to do issues without any action, because it's like just priming the story. And we'll talk a bit later, the investigative journalism done by Jay Jonah and Ben Parker. But yeah, so you got all this Christmas stuff, and it gets towards the end. She finally answers the phone, like you say. It's Gwen. She's like, Harry, he's missing. Like, I haven't seen him. I was meant to be, I don't know where he is, whatever. And Mary Jane answers the phone. She turns to Peter like, oh my God, like, what do we do? And Peter just kind of turns around, and it turns out it's the fucking suit pretending to be Peter Parker, who has black eyes or whatever. And the way Hickman, who I cannot stop praising for his work, he puts at the end of the family stuff, when they kind of reconcile a little bit and they're like kind of getting close together, whatever. And I can't remember the exact wording, but it's something like family's important or something like that. Or family's the most important thing, whatever. And then after the Peter reveal and that's why it's so scary that you might lose it, or something like that. I can't remember the exact words, but just those single pages, like it's just a whole page with just that writing in. I was like, oh, you've done it again, man. Yeah, no. Done it again.
Cool, really cool
and
issue.
What I especially loved about it as well, and I went back, again, a great twist, I think, in all kind of media, is something that makes you want to go back and re-watch it or reread a thing again. I went back and checked. Peter doesn't talk the entire issue until the end. And I went back and I was like, surely. And like everything that's going on around him. And there's one point, which I thought was funny, where Mary Jane is talking at him basically,
and she's answering her own questions, so she's not noticing.
And then at the end she says, "Thanks for your help," and Peter's just smiling. And I just thought like, oh, that's a funny little bit and whatever. And then by then I'm like, this motherfucker didn't speak the entire time. Like, oh, that's so good.
We should have known.
I thought it was just going to be like a quirky, like it's Christmas, like let's do a fun issue for this, and then we'll get back to everything. It's like, nope, this is really important stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved that issue. I think it might be the best of the series.
I think it might be
potentially
because I found some of the investigative journalism with Ben and Jonah a bit sloggy.
I liked it just kind of as again what I've said before about Ultimate Universe stuff. I thought it was like an administrative issue.
Yeah.
But I like that, like it's building all like the important stuff that's coming away.
Yeah.
Like the relationship between Ben and Jonah.
Yeah.
They're like these old curmudgeons who are like trying to like they're showing their experience at Jonah's by uncovering the biggest story in the universe that happens to kind of take place in New York City, or at least enough of it. I loved there's a little bit where they speak to Gwen, who as the head of Oscorp, and they're like, we're running a story, we want to get your opinion, whatever. And she's like, gets pissed off at them, especially because she also funded their new online paper thing they're doing now. And then Mary Jane speaks to them and is like, how long have you got for this before you run the story? And they say a week. And then Norman Osborn turns up. And
Harry Osborn turns up.
I always get them confused for some reason. So Harry Osborn turns up and he's like, and then Ben gives Jonah like $10 or whatever. It's like, I bet that once we told Mary Jane we were going to be weak, how soon you were going to come to us directly.
Yeah.
And then they speak for a bit and he's like, well, if nothing's going to stop you running the story, then I guess I'm going to have to. And his like armor starts coming out of his hand.
And then Jonah gives him the $10 back.
Yeah, he's like, I bet him you were going to kick off ass. And then it just resolves.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why there's just a lot of nice little bits I liked in that issue. And again, just a kind of more necessary stuff for building what was going to happen, in the future.
But finding out that the suits are definitely symbiotes, and that's what we're doing here.
Well, the one suit, and I think it's like, I don't think it is a symbiote. I think it's kind of taking the spot. It's doing symbiote-like stuff in this version in this universe. And I think that's way more interesting. Like, do a different kind of version of a not tired old trope, but like in the Marvel universe, we've seen a lot of symbiote stuff in recent years.
Yeah.
So to do a different version, like it's a programmable AI suit, I think it's like a good, fresh take on it.
I mean, it taps into our current insecurities as a species, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%, yeah. And the issue after that, like they do really interesting stuff with it, because you would assume by the end of that Christmas issue that, oh no, it's gone evil. And all I'll say is it's not evil.
No.
It's creepy, but it's not
Peter.
evil. There's a great bit earlier as well where they want to, Octavius and Harry Osborn want to give Spider-Man a kind of the Iron Spider.
Yeah.
Great reference to Civil War and the Iron Spider suit. It's literally that. It's that color scheme.
I mean, there are quite a few little nods to Civil War, aren't there?
So, and the larger Marvel universe, like there's
and the Tom Holland Spider-Man stuff. There's a lot of little nods to that.
Yeah. But they try and give him the suit, and he's speaking to his AI version within his suit, and he's like, "Do we want that?" Like, nah, we don't want it. It's like, we're good. We don't want it, actually. And he's like, to be fair, I'm not that really excited about this AI suit. And the AI version of himself is like, "Oh, come on, mate." And he's like, "Yeah, I know. Like, I'm not totally comfortable with this. Have you got anything else?" So like, we could just make you a spandex suit. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll go for that then."
Spandex infused with Kevlar?
Yes. Yeah. But he's just like, "Yeah, I'll take the spandex." But I thought was so funny was he's like, "Hey, what are you going to do with the AI suit?" Is like, ask them what they're going to, like, what's going to happen to me if you get rid of me. And he's like, "All right, fine." He's like, what's going to happen with this AI suit? And Otto's like, "Well, I suppose you might as well hand him over to me and I'll have a look and maybe see if we can recreate it and get some more information out of it." And he's like, "I really don't like this AI suit." It's like, "I really don't like the
But
look
Pete
of this
was
guy."
also like, "I don't really like that either."
No, but then he's like, "And what are you going to do with the suit?" It's like, "Oh, just examine it or whatever." But Otto's like says that line is like really evil to the point where his face is like blacked out and it's just his like the reflection of his glasses. And the suit was like, "Don't leave me with him." And I was like, it's a fun bit. But he's like, "No, I'm not leaving you with him. Like,
don't worry.
I'm wary of you, but he's way more scary."
Yeah.
She's like, "No, I'll hold on to it and I'll keep it at home, whatever." So yeah, just loads of little fun interactions with all these characters, including an AI suit, which is just Peter. And just, it seems like a completely separate character, but it's meant to be him again as well. But yeah, just, I think Ultimate Spider-Man might have been, I know we gave Ultimates like comic of the year, and I stand by that in terms of more objectively.
This is my favorite. Now that we've delved a bit deeper into all three of them, this is my favorite.
Yeah, it balances everything so well.
Yeah.
But like right early on the start as well, Harry and Peter, Spider-Man, Green Goblin, they're doing like they're superheroing for the kind of first time. I love they basically go after the Kingpin.
Yeah.
we've staked him out for days. We should go in there, and they go in, and Kingpin's like, "I saw you on the cameras. You've been out there for days. I was wondering when you were going to come in." I love how unused to all this Peter Parker is. He's like late 30s, maybe 40, and he's just started Spider-Maning. And they're talking about like, how do we go in? It's like, well, we just bust in, like whatever. It's like, isn't that like breaking and entering? It's like, well, yeah, but we're vigilantes. That's what we do. I just love how uncomfortable Peter Parker is with breaking the law.
He's a family man.
Well, not just that. Like, if Peter Parker never becomes Spider-Man, he would be that very goody two shoes, never break the law, wouldn't even jaywalk. Like, that would just be him as a person. And that's obviously extended to him having a family, whatever.
I think this version of Peter Parker is cool.
Yeah, 100%.
I want to get beers with him.
Yeah, but he's definitely way more interesting than the Peter Parker we've had for decades already.
Do you think that's because as men in our 30s, we can identify with him?
100%. And that they're targeting those Spider-Man fans with this comic, I think.
Yeah.
It's really geared towards
it's like
us.
You're bored of seeing Peter Parker go through teenage shit.
Yes.
Do you want to see him go through the stuff that you're going through and being a family man? And
they can do that now because they can do the teenage shit with Miles Morales. Like, that's meant to be in the mainline Marvel universe. That's meant to be what they do.
Yeah.
And they haven't put Peter Parker back in high school or anything like that, but they put him like back in the like he's back in the newspaper at times. It's like, you were a billionaire at one point. Like, what has happened? Like, it's just lost all your money. It's like, better go work for the Bugle again. Like, you do nothing else. Like, don't you have like PhDs and shit? Like, what's going on? There was a fun thing where
Spider-Man MD.
There was a fun thing where when Otto Octavius had taken over Spider-Man in the mainline universe, then he regained control back of his body.
Yeah.
He was then a billionaire after that because of all the stuff Otto had done as Peter Parker. But then after that, there was a what they call it, plagiarism accusation against him. It's like, your recent work shares a like stark resemblance to one Otto Octavius, and he's like, how do I explain this? Like, I can't talk my way out of this. Like, there's no way to explain it. I think he's just like, yeah, I copied him.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Like, what am I gonna do?
It.
Yeah. But yeah, in this one, I love how he's just so tentatively like awkward with breaking law and stuff.
Yeah.
When they literally that superhero thing where they bust through the glass of Kingpin's office. And he's like, great, now we're breaking and entering as well. Like, add it to the list. And then there's a part where Kingpin, ready for them, he chucks like an entire desk at the Green Goblin. And it just hits him and like takes him out almost. And Spider-Man's like, whoa, like you just tried to kill him. And I just love that, like, any other Spider-Man would be experienced to be like, yeah, this is dangerous stuff. But that stark, like, it's one thing to consciously think we're going into dangerous territory here and dangerous things will happen. But it's another thing when you actually see someone try and kill another person, you're like, fucking hell. Like,
what the fuck just happened there?
Yeah, I just love how, again, they didn't have to do it, and it's real attention to detail, which I appreciate. And it makes it feel more real, like makes all the characters feel more real.
Yeah, I'm definitely invested in this one. I'm definitely quite invested in this one.
I want to see what happens next. And we cannot go any further without mentioning the Sinister Six in this issue. Great return of a cat, not in this universe, but a great introduction of a character that we both love into this universe. Bloody crazy Kraven is back again. He's got a mohawk now, and other than that, he looks exactly the same. And I was like, great to see you back. Like,
nice to see you,
all
brother.
this talk about hunting and animals and shit. I'm like, I fucking love how mental you are.
Hunting.
The greatest prey is Spider-Man. It's like, you're absolutely off your rocker, and I love you for it.
Yeah, Kraven's just there being unhinged.
I love that. He's talking about they use like the 5 boroughs of New York as for the thing of the Sinister Six.
Yeah.
And they're talking about the 5 boroughs, Kingpin's Manhattan, and they're all kind of their own ones. Got Mysterio, who's being really mysterious. Well, bloody Mysterio.
Yeah.
What I especially loved, there's a moment where he's talking about, and of course, the hidden, like, someone's like, sir, there's only 5 boroughs. Why do you mean 6 of you lot? And he's like, the secret 6th borough is the underground of New York, which is very important to all the boroughs, possibly the most important. I'm like, fair enough. It's like, and he's talking about the underground of New York, and I'm thinking, like, the lesser known, the streets.
They're literally talking about the subway.
Not even the subway. They're talking about literally underground, because the guy representing him is fucking Mole Man, who's a fantastic four villain. And I was just like, oh, you meant literally underground. I was like, I thought you meant like the black market. I was like, I was expecting like, ooh, I wonder who's going to be like the secretive underbelly of underground. Yeah, like like you're literally under the ground. Fine, all right.
It's the mole dude.
All right, I'll take it. Like, I guess it was such an eclectic mix of like, you've got Kraven and Mysterio, classic Sinister Six.
Yeah.
You got Martin Lee, Mr. Negative, who's a kind of recent one, like crime lord by night, charity worker by day kind of thing is all cool. The Black Cat thief, cat burglar kind of character, and like Crazy Kraven and whatever. And then just Mole Man. It's like, that's a weird mix of dudes, but let's go for it.
It's not a stag do you'd want to go to, is it?
That's the number one stag. Get drinks with Kraven, be like...
Everyone else is playing crazy golf, and Kraven's just like, when are we going to go hunting?
He'd take you hunting, whether you like to or not. Kraven is the epitome of, I like you, but you're crazy. I don't trust you, but I'm fascinated by it. Like, I want to see what you do next.
Yeah.
Sinister Six, good old reference. The other little Easter egg that I enjoyed is Ben and Jonah got to make up a name for this fake reporter who they're like, we can't publish this story or these really powerful people will come after us. Like, I know, we'll create a fake journalist, but we'll still publish the story. It's like, I don't think you've distanced yourself far. I thought they were going to like upload it anonymously to like the web or whatever. But it's like, no, we'll still put it on our website because we need the traffic and we need the clicks. But we're going to fake a name.
Yeah, it's silly.
And the funniest thing, it's a good Easter egg because the name of this fake reporter is Ben Reilly.
Yeah.
Ben Reilly is the name of the clone of Peter Parker from the infamous Clone Wars, Clone Saga of the 90s. Not Clone Wars, Star Wars, Clone Saga, which is one of those, it was a saga of the Spider-Man comics in the 90s that's kind of revered and infamous at the same time, in the sense that at the time when it came out, it was very poorly received.
Right.
Like, just horrifically. Basically, they started the story of like, here's a clone of Peter Parker. And then it all became, who's the real Peter Parker?
Yeah.
And it was basically an attempt of, I said before about like how they hate the idea of Peter Parker being married, settled with kids, like Marvel in general, which is why it's still such a shock that we get this Ultimate Spider-Man version.
They haven't killed MJ yet.
Yeah, exactly. One thing they did in the 90s was they tried to introduce this clone and they say there's a character called the Jackal made a clone of you here, and here he is. He's gonna become Spider-Man, and you can just fuck off and retire and be a dad.
Yeah.
So he's like, but this guy, he's a loner and he's cool, and we can do like he's not at home with his wife and being lame. Like he's getting out there and he's banging chicks or whatever, like whatever Marvel thought in the 90s.
He's getting beers with Dick Grayson.
Exactly. And then they were like, oh, no one likes this new character. They're like, all right, switch it back. Turns out you're not the clone Peter Parker. Or like at one point it was like, you're the clone Peter Parker. Like, oh no, actually we messed up
fucked up.
It turns out you are the real Peter Parker. He's the clone. He's going off now.
It's a fucking Rick and Morty switcheroo Beth situation, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So basically that was infamous at the time. But what happened was, I think in retrospect, people who kind of were kids at the time when they read it, or the fact that it was adapted in like the Spider-Man animated series and other stuff, it's become kind of one of those things where it's like that was really bad at the time, but we kind of like it now. Like it's that kind of thing. So the fact that they chose that name was quite fun. But also the fact that Ben Parker's like, we need a pseudonym so people don't think it's us.
I'm going to use my name.
I'm going to use my first name, but different surname. And I thought that as well. If you were trying to lie about like create a fake person and make it believable, is it kind of like 4D chess to be like, what? Like if I was like, you were trying to create a person, I was like, oh yeah, what's the name? You're like, Jamie. Like, and you know another bloke called Jamie who just happens to be doing this thing that you're not, and you're like, yeah. It's like, if I was lying, would I give them my name?
Yeah,
like it's kind of like, is it smart or is it dumb?
It's
like,
a nice little double bluff, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, overall, unless you got anything else
Good. Yeah, cool. Yeah,
fantastic. Very page turning. Want to see it again. Was upset when I got to the up to date like issue. I was like, oh no, like, I want to read more of this. So definitely a strong reason why I think we're just going to be doing like an ultimate episode like once or twice a year.
Yeah.
Just catch up on everything and get back to And
Ultimate X-Men.
Ultimate X-Men. Your preferred?
My
favorite?
Preferred. I'm going to be honest with you. I was baffled through most of it. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. It's the thing with Ultimate X-Men. It's kind of the equal quality to objectively, I think it's kind of equal quality to Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man's my preference. But the opposite in terms of its strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
I think, like, art-wise, it's the best of all the Ultimate stuff, like, by a mile. But story-wise, there's a story there, and I'm interested in it. And also, with Spider-Man and the Ultimates, a common theme along all these titles, I don't know what's going to happen next.
I also don't know where it's going to tie in.
Yeah.
Because it has to at some point.
I wouldn't mind if Ultimate X-Men didn't tie in. Spider-Man needs to tie in. Like, I'm waiting, and they've got me on the hook for when it'll tie in, which is great. Ultimate X-Men, I don't mind if that doesn't tie in. Like, I think it can have its own world.
I want it to tie in the hardest, because I want to see Chibi Iron Man. Yeah, I want to see Chibi Thor.
But then do you want to see these characters in normal art?
No, but I want to see Chibi Thor.
That's, I think, the problem with the crossover. It's like, I think it has to go both ways.
Yeah.
And again, that's why I would like to see those characters like appear and cameo in Ultimate X-Men, maybe. I don't need it to like proper link up and crossover and stuff.
So the whole storyline of that it's gotten up to is that there is a cult.
The Children of the Atom, which is a nomenclature of the mutants in the mainline Marvel universe. So it's a good little reference,
With a maester.
Yes, a maester.
A maester. And they're doing culty shit. They're not locking people's phones up very well.
No.
So everything is kind of leaking. And the maester seems to be fumbling the cult quite badly through a lot of it. He's not doing a very good job of running a cult. Yeah,
I think it's one of those things that he hasn't really had any challenges so far. Yeah. And now it's starting to kick off. And a good theme amongst all the kind of Ultimate stuff is it's always the council members who are like the top dogs behind everything. And you've got this character, Viper, who is an X-Men character, like an antagonist in the X-Men main stuff. She kind of represents the, I think his name's Sunfire, who is a mutant, who is the council head of this continent, or like East Asia continent at least. And so you've always got this pressing, like, you might be the bad guy in this series, but you've got a boss who is you've got to answer to. And as soon as it's going wrong, this Maester guy's like, oh shit, everyone's fighting about mutants.
Yeah.
I like the integration of modern social media with this story, because it's all about these stories getting out and stuff, and he's just like, shit, what do we do now?
Yeah.
And he's like obsessed with the Shadow King character, who I really like what's going on there. The art and story, like any scene with the Shadow King stuff is so good. Like there's a bit where his shadow persona thing crawls out of the TV. Good little the Ring reference.
Yeah.
But it looked so cool. It's like that kind of almost like crayon-esque, like black that's like he's drawn in with, which just looks so creepy in this setting.
But the story just felt a bit fragmented to me.
Yes. And that was what
it was a bit chaotic.
There is a story there. It's harder to kind of piece together and remember like who said what to who and who is who and that kind of thing.
It's fun to look at, but the story is quite fragmented. There's one cool little bit that I noticed. They have a mutant chained up that they're drawing blood from and using to create the other mutants.
Yeah.
Bit Wolverine-y.
I think it must be Wolverine.
Well, this is it.
But I'm like...
But we didn't get any bone claws, Ryan.
No claws. No any claws.
We got no claws. But he's like chained up and emaciated with this big hair in the right shape.
The hair, the shape of the ears, that kind of hair. So when he was first revealed, he was on that X.
Yeah.
That is a reference to a X-Men. Do you remember Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yeah.
When Deadpool was going to different... You remember that when he's on the...
Wolverine being crucified.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think it must be Wolverine.
It has to be.
But
Japanese Wolverine.
Well, so Wolverine, as you might know, spent a lot of time in Japan. Like,
he
as
learned
a
to be a samurai, didn't he?
Yeah. So I think it makes sense that of all the mainline X-Men characters who you're going to have appear in this, like Wolverine is the no-brainer.
But he has a Japanese name.
Yes. And that might just be, I think when he's kicking about there, he gets given a Japanese name or something.
Does he?
I think he was in the comics.
Is it the same one?
I don't know. I don't know his Japanese name.
One of us should have done that research.
But we did. As we were reading, we were like, "Oh shit, is this Wolverine?" Like we didn't know in advance. But I think what it is he was in Japan soon or relatively soon after he lost his memories and didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
So that could explain why he has a Japanese name because he's in Japan. He's like, "What's your name?" He's like, "I think it's Logan." And it's not, but he gets Logan somewhere. I can't remember where.
And the way they've drawn him does make him look a little bit more Caucasian than the rest of the characters.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's got to be Wolverine.
Which is rad.
Yeah. It seems almost like, I don't know if it's a missed opportunity or more subtle storytelling that he hasn't busted out the claws. But also, and what also makes me think it's not Wolverine is the fact that he's like, the Meister told me I'm special. Like, don't you think? It's like, you're a bit submissive for a Wolverine.
For Wolverine, Wolverine's meant to just be a badass.
Wolverine should be, if he's captured and tied up, he should be constantly like, get me out of here, I'll fucking kill you. Like, he should be like that. So the fact that he's like really like part of the cult kind of thing, and like that's generally the stuff that makes me wonder if it is Wolverine.
Yeah.
And there's so much heavy clues and signs that it is Wolverine. Yeah. But I'm like,
wouldn't it be one hell of a misdirect if he wasn't?
Yeah. And to be fair, there's an Ultimate Wolverine comic now happening, which I've intentionally not looked at anything. I don't even know if it is Logan, like, as the Wolverine or not in it.
Has it started yet?
Yeah, issue 1 just came out now. But as I said, I'm not looked at anything. I don't want to know anything. I want to wait till there's like at least 5 issues out and then we'll cover it.
Yeah.
But I intentionally didn't want to know because the part of the thing I saw the image and it's like a completely covered up mask.
Yeah.
So it's like, is it Logan? Is it X-23? Like, is it a third character? Like, who knows? Is it his bisexual teenage son Dakin who kicks around a bit?
Is it Victor?
Could be Vic. It looked a bit small for Victor. Victor's more of a bear and Wolverine's a twink. He's a short twink. So
Wolverine, no, he's not a twink. He's a short king.
Short king, yes. Like us.
Don't you club me in with that.
We're the same height. But anyway.
No, Ryan, categorically.
We saw that on that night out, you remember? We went back to back and it was like, yeah, we're the same height.
No,
your girlfriend confirmed.
Yeah, I don't believe a word she says.
Well, that's you got bigger problems than height, my friend.
Which girlfriend, though?
The current one.
The current one.
Which of the current ones?
Yeah, no. She listens. She listens. She listens every week.
Which one?
Right. That's not funny.
That is very funny.
No, because at some point over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to get a text message that just says, which girlfriend, question mark, from her? And I'm going to be like, oh, no.
Can you let me know when she sends you that? Because that'd be hilarious. So, Wolverine. Might be Wolverine, might not. We don't know. So, but yeah, the rest of the story, I see what you mean, is jumbled, is kind of
mess.
all over the... I wouldn't go so far as to say
no,
mess.
because it's linear, and there is a linear thread, But I'm a bit confused as to who everyone is a lot of the time.
I think it is one of those things where it makes you have to invest a bit more and pay attention a bit more to kind of work out what's happening. But then that's the kind of payoff. When the writing is good and good stuff's happening, then, I feel kind of rewarded for paying attention.
It's Japanese street jazz.
Yes. Let's go with Japanese acid jazz.
It's Japanese acid jazz. Is that a thing?
Yeah, I'm listening to it right now, actually.
Is it good?
It's pretty good. It's got its own kind of flavor.
What does it sound like?
It sounds like, the reason I found it is it sounds like the Persona 5 soundtrack, which doesn't help you at all.
So the Persona 5 soundtrack sounds like Japanese acid jazz.
Which is how I found it.
Are there any artists that I should be hitting up?
None that I could name. None that I could recall the name of.
Right, so I just...
I'll play some
Spotify.
If you listen to Persona 5 soundtrack, it's that.
I'm going on a dog walk when we finish this.
I'll recommend you a playlist.
Yeah. Some Japanese acid jazz.
Yes.
Great.
It's pretty fun.
I love it.
Yeah, and this it's a very good description for this comic as well. It's definitely a Japanese acid jazz.
Cool.
But again, you pay attention a bit more. Like, there's points where I go, who is this character? And then once I kind of work it out and I intentionally retain that information for when I next see them, that makes me feel a bit more invested in the story.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in what's going on. There's things being answered that were confusing to me earlier.
Right,
so when we first covered it, I was like, why are these powers manifesting like all of a sudden and all at once? There's a bit where they explain the Shadow King character, and this is a common thing in mutants, they sometimes have like a secondary power.
Yeah.
His is, he literally awakens mutant powers in other people. And it's not a case of he just gives random people powers, but it's latent mutant gene already in the person, and then he's kind of helping that come out.
He's the facilitator.
Yes. So presumably that's happened with Armor and May Storm and those kind of characters. I think there's an interesting thing where, I don't know if this was like, I inferred it and I'm wrong or not, but I inferred that the reason Armor, because we think it's that little pendant thing or the little keychain thing that she got from her friend who's now dead, that's started her powers, because her powers looks like the little figure, right? I suspect that it's the figure has nothing to do with it, but her powers manifested and she was thinking of the pendant, so her powers have created a thing that looks like that. So that's what I've inferred. Maybe I'll be revealed to be right or wrong. Maybe they won't even touch it, and that's just my own little headcanon.
But I'm with you on that. That's kind of where my head was at.
Yeah. There's the culty stuff explains. I think, you remember I was having to go at May's parents because she has powers. When she first used her powers, and the dad's just like, "You're a disappointment." Like she just thunderstorm in the kitchen. Like, you got any more to say? The fact that they're in a cult, I think that might explain their reaction.
Also, though, we saw May's dad, didn't we?
Yeah. Oh Christ! Yeah, I was like, "What the fuck is going on in that scene?"
So, for anybody who's not aware.
So, do you want me to set the scene of what happens, what we see?
No, okay. For anybody who's not aware, there is a thing that happens in Japan where young girls, sort of teenage girls, will work as a kind of escort. They're called hosts, and you can go to certain districts, particularly in Tokyo, and you can engage the services of one of these young women, and you can take them out to dinner and have conversation with them. I think it's always heavily implied that it's a non-sexual thing, but it's like there is an industry of teenage girls working as escorts.
They went out of their way to be like, nothing sexual, but it's still like,
but it's fucking
this is still
weird.
A really weird situation.
It's weird, and
but this way, if we knew a guy who was like, oh yeah, I use that service, nothing sexual, I'd be like, no, you've not explained it away at all.
You're still fucking weird, dude. Like,
you're paying a teenager to hang out with you. Like, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, no, it's just weird. But it is a thing that happens. And May is living with her grandparents.
Well, yeah, because her parents suck.
Yeah, and she bumps into her dad with a host.
Yeah. And I do, to be fair, I like the character.
Who is also a mutant.
Yeah, who is revealed to be Surge, who I don't know if she is an existing X-Men character or not, but she has electrical powers. Great art on the fight scene between her and May, because it's that lightning and wind, kind of clashing, and the turning the electricity back on Surge, and like the art for that I thought was really cool. But yeah, I like the character Surge. Like, I think she's interesting. Put it this way, I got kind of a little more respect for her and way less for any of the guys who are employing her services.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that they went there, particularly because this isn't a Japanese comic. This is being produced by an American company. And so I know what that thing is because I have a vague interest in Japanese culture.
I mean, I didn't know what it was beforehand, but they explained it. Like, I got the gist.
They explained it, but I was just like, fuck, you went there.
I mean, they're going places in these comics. I mean, it starts with the trigger warning for suicide. They're talking about that, like, in the beginning, and they don't shy away from that.
It is dipping into a lot of weird Japanese cultural issues.
I think it's one of the reasons I like it so much is that juxtaposition of, like, the cutesy looking art style, which makes you think it's just going to be like, they get powers and they power friendship and they defeat the bad guys. Like, no,
you're expecting Sailor
dark
Moon
stuff. Yeah, exactly. There's dark stuff going on under the surface here, which I like that they're going these areas. Doesn't feel like too much. It doesn't feel like edgy for the sake of edgy. Like it's integral to the story. So yeah, I think I think they do a good job overall of balancing it.
Yeah,
also,
it just struck me as a bit weird, mate.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. I like, speaking of that juxtaposition, the art style being that kind of watercolor and, like, again, cute looking, like, art style of the characters and stuff. When you then have these, like, scenes with bloody crucified Wolverine and the kid in the surgery table, or the Shadow King, like, coming out of the TV and stuff,
or the suitcase full of body bits,
suitcase full of a whole body, like,
whole body
in
a suitcase.
It makes those moments stand out a lot more as well. So I think that's why I really like the comic.
It's going in. Yeah, the story's kind of held together with sellotape, but it's going into some.
But it still works, damn.
Yeah, but it still works, and it's still like a story with a through line, even though you have to kind of take a minute with it at points. But it's going to some really dark, interesting places, isn't it?
The body in the suitcase has a character, Psylocke, who is a prominent X-Men character, so it's interesting to see her in this. She takes a photo, and then her brother's in the police is like, they made me sign an NDA, and they're really powerful people, and we can't do anything about it. She's like, I've already uploaded it to social media.
And deleted it.
Yes, but it was already, it's out.
Gone.
It's gone. And there's a symbol on the body part, which is the Children of the Atom cult symbol. Yeah. So I like all these plot points and how they're developing and stuff. I like you've got the anti-mutant rhetoric starting now, which is just classic X-Men stuff. Like, there's always going to be people kicking off against mutants. And kind of understandably in this instance, because we get the bit of one of the characters develops a single optic eye blast. Yeah. And basically
does kill her mum.
Accidentally kills her mum. And not only just like that one shot through the door, which gets her first, and then out of the anger of realizing what's happened, that it goes off again.
A million holes.
And there's, just covered in these smoking hot craters in the body or whatever. I love when a power that's normally like PG-ified. So normally it's very similar to Cyclops' optical. I don't think this character is Cyclops or close, but same power. Normally it's like what they call a concussive blast. Yeah. So it's meant to be like, if you get hit by it, it's being hit by a physical thing. It's not like a laser beam going through you. This is very much a laser beam going through you. And I like seeing it like a more, not even like adult, like it wasn't overly gory, but it's killed a person.
Potent, isn't it?
Someone's killed their own family member by accident with it. Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff where you never see that with Cyclops, like origin stories. Normally, like, it's his thing goes off and it shoots through a building or something, and he causes like a lot of property damage, and people are like, oh my god, he's really dangerous. Like,
he takes out Charles Xavier's favorite tree that his dad planted, and then Professor X is like, cool.
My fault for I knew what you could do. That's probably on me. But
that was James McAvoy, Charles Xavier, wasn't it?
Yeah. I like that this is a much more realistic and heavy, introduction to this power, and how that relates to the character and stuff as well. So I thought this was all good stuff for the most part. Again, I think it's more of a art-centric story, comic overall. Yeah. But I think the story's still, in the same way that I think Spider-Man's more a story-centric comic. Yeah. But I still really like the art in Spider-Man. But I love the art in X-Men Ultimate X-Men. But I really like the story as well.
But I think all three of these titles, to get into some conclusory comments.
Yes. To surmise.
God, that took me straight back to being in university. To surmise.
I saw a meme the other day, which was like, "Why do you need me to surmise my essay? Ain't you been reading? Like, what do I need to sum up for you?"
Yeah,
but we go the extra effort because we love our listeners.
Because we love our listeners, even when they miss the point.
And we got some good listener comments in a bit. But first, let's surmise.
I think all three of these titles are moving along really well. I think the hype that we've given the Ultimate Universe is justified.
Yep.
The quality hasn't dropped off. They're continuing to push boundaries with all of it. I think this is probably the most interesting moment in Marvel Comics for the past 10 years.
I'm genuinely thinking back. For me, I think the most interesting point was the Secret Wars, which also was a Hickman thing, the Hickman-led thing, so that ties in. That was 2016, 2017, so almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, definitely last 8 years for me, 7 or 8 years. But yeah, I'm loving it. I love the fact that I love the idea of getting in on the ground floor or something.
Yeah.
And like we feel like way more invested in it because we saw its inception and it's all this previous backstory as well with the previous Ultimate Universe, which like I know a little of and you know nothing of.
Yeah.
But I like that there's even in this universe, there's a bigger picture beyond that as well. But yeah, I really enjoying it. I highly recommend it. If you've listened this far and you haven't read any Ultimate Universe stuff, if you like art, go Ultimate X-Men. If you like story, go Ultimate Spider-Man. If you just want a big, messy, fun superhero time, the Ultimates.
Read the Ultimates, yeah. Totally.
And it caters to everything. And I think we'll, maybe in like June, July, I think
we'll
come
pick
back
it
to these,
up in the summer.
I think there's a this might be our first kind of recurring episode.
Yeah.
Just check back in with the Ultimate Universe.
What's going on with the Ultimate Universe? Because it's great.
And we'll have another title to add to the roster by then. We'll have
Are we getting an Ultimate Thor?
We've not had any news yet, which I like. I want them to tease it.
And we will check back in with Ultimate Black Panther because, again, neither of us disliked it. We both thought it was good.
Yeah, it just didn't do enough different from the mainline Black Panther character or comic, and that's the kind of biggest problem. That we're getting lots of other different takes and stuff for all these other titles, and just Black Panther was just like, do you remember the Black Panther film? We're doing that.
Would you like more
I was
of
like,
that?
all right, like I like the film, but I was hoping for a little more different kind of stuff. So we'll see how it goes. So to end, we did get some comments from a repeat commenter who's might be becoming the bloody super fan of the podcast.
Is this because we replied to them?
Yes, this is.
Oh no! What did they say?
Oh, Leon Goopy.
Yeah,
who's back again, and I don't remember this, but I'm kind of remembering now. I'm looking at it. I think one of us, and by one of us I mean you, told them to comment 4 times next time.
Yeah,
because they separated their comment into 4 separate comments.
Nice,
which
nice.
I appreciate you doing it, Leon. You don't have to do that.
Hey,
like,
double down.
Don't listen
Orders
to
of magnitude.
Just a single comment at a time. Expressing your admiration for us is more than enough.
8 comments. I need 8 comments.
Do not listen to him.
Always listen to me.
Because if you give him this, you'll be done 16 and 32 and
Orders
62.
of magnitude.
Don't do it. Just save yourself the effort. Don't do it. But we appreciate you regardless. So Leon said, thank you for talking across 2 comments. Said, bounce still for Surfer Black. I just like Donny Cates' writing style, especially the whole Venom, Absolute Carnage, King in Black stuff, but there's a lot more to ask than a limited run. Yeah, that's a lot. That's like a several titles big thing. And unfortunately, I was not as big a fan of the King in Black stuff. I appreciated their attempt on like the big kind of, big connecting universe thing.
I've not read it.
Yeah. Again, it interrupted my Daredevil run. I kind of hold a little grudge against that. I like the Venom character. I want to see more stuff like that. And I appreciate Donny Cates' writing was good. I just didn't enjoy the kind of bigger picture stuff.
Yeah.
But more than willing to see what they do next. And Leon also said, I can't believe y'all don't have a bigger following.
Cheers, homie.
Agree. Yeah. But this has grown to be one of my favorite podcasts and had to leave all the 4 comments. But thank you for that. It's good to know that anyone's out there listening. It's always a pleasure to kind of get any kind of feedback from that. So thank you very much.
We do it for you, Leon. We do it for you.
And what I say, you don't have to leave the 8 comments.
8 comments!
Don't do that. But we would love to just generally hear from you more. If there's ever a comic that you think we might like, that might be fun to cover, that always let us know. If you've got any particular favorite Superman comics, like that'd be an interesting one to get some opinions on.
Never.
Well, no, some presumably better than All-Star Superman, comparatively.
Which I loved.
Yes. Well, you do now after getting sigiled by bloody Morrison.
Yeah, this is it. Grant Morrison, sorry, bro. It's my favorite comic ever. I like it more than anything Hemingway wrote.
And that was a non-binary bro. A what they call it? A unisex bro, that was.
It was a uni bro.
A uni bro. Whatever that means. So yeah, I think that's it for this week. Next week, a different thing. And then the week after that...
Descriptive.
Yeah,
I like
and
it.
then the week after that, some Captain America stuff. It's
Oh,
time
I
with the
like
old
Cap.
Captain America coming out. So
I like
maybe we
Cap.
might find like I can't be asked with the modern whatever. I read the modern Captain America and it was good for a couple
Can
issues.
we do
and
the
then-
one where he's in Hydra?
We could. That was around Civil War II kind of era. Do you want to do that, or do you want to do like? Do you remember from Where the Body Was, or Where the Body Was?
Yeah.
That writer and maybe that ass, but I'm not sure. But that writer did the quintessential Winter Soldier run,
Oh, cool.
like
Let's
back,
do
like
that
the original
then.
one. So we
That
could do
sounds like
that.
fun.
And yeah, so another thing next week, and I think that's pretty much it. So without waffling on too much, I forgot to do the call to action. It's not a call to action, so do all the stuff that you've heard me say in previous episodes, if you can, please.
I win.
Yes.
I
win this time.
finally, yeah, in the battle of wills to not do calls to action.
Like I say, you're ill and stuff, so you're very ill. So I didn't want to subject you to me telling everyone.
Oh no! Don't
about
no!
rating the
End of
podcast on the
episode.
podcatchers.
End of episode.
Giving
End
it
of
5 stars,
episode.
writing into
I'm not doing it this
comiclyra@gmail.com. Tell us what
No,
you think. Leave
don't
your comments.
want it.
Check out Comic Stan
Don't
YouTube
like
channel.
it.
Check out the Comic Lyra
Makes me
TikTok
so
page for short
uncomfortable.
videos. I would never dare have subjected
makes
you
me
to
so
me saying all that
uncomfortable.
while
I don't
you're ill
like it.
in this
I
state.
don't like it.
Anyway,
Bye.
thanks for listening. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.